When you think of Star Wars video games or point-and-click adventures, I bet the first thing that pops into your mind is LucasArts, which is rightly so since they had been creating some of the best games on the market for over 30 years. So to start off this story, we're going to have to go back a long time ago in a galaxy far away. In 1977, Star Wars A New Hope was released in theaters and it soon became an international phenomenon, launching George Lucas's career. With the massive amount of wealth he was acquiring from the highly successful Star Wars films, George, seeing a bright future in the video game industry, started Lucasfilms Games in 1982. In March of 1984, their first two games were released. Ballblazer is a one-on-one futuristic sports game where each player is driving a hovercraft in a first-person perspective while trying to shoot a ball into the other opponent's court. The second game was Rescue on Fractalus, which is a flying simulator where you must land on an alien planet to rescue downed pilots. The next two games designed by the new studio were Coronis Rift and the Eidolon, both using the same technology developed for Rescue on Fractalus. After this, they created Labyrinth the computer game, their first step into the graphic adventure genre. In 1987, Lucasfilms Games created Maniac Mansion, which would be the start of their success in the graphic adventure genre. What made Maniac Mansion so great is that it fixed a lot of things that deterred people from playing point-and-click adventure games. At the time, games in the genre were frustratingly difficult, confusing, and were made only for the most patient of players. Maniac Mansion, on the other hand, had a more user-friendly interface, a more forgiving difficulty, and a good sense of humor. By 1990, the company's name became LucasArts, and the adventure games continued with titles such as The Secret of Monkey Island, Sam & Max Hit the Road, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Games of this genre were a staple of the company. During the late 80s and early 90s, LucasArts was in multiple other genres other than graphic adventures. They created PHM Pegasus and Strike Fleet, two boat simulators where you must fight against opposing nations, Zombies Ate My Neighbors and its sequel Ghoul Patrol where you must travel through levels while fighting an assortment of monsters, and let's not forget the massive amount of games based off the Star Wars universe. The first of many successful Star Wars spin-off series was X-Wing, developed by Totally Games, a combat fight simulator where you can control a starfighter. The game was successful enough to spawn sequels such as TIE Fighter, X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, and X-Wing Alliance. One of their more popular non-computer games was the Super Star Wars series for the Super Nintendo. These three games let you play through the original Star Wars films with platforming and the occasional 3D vehicle levels. These games had great controls and level design. My favorite thing about these games is the varied numbers of characters and the stage locations you get to explore from the movies. In the mid-90s, first-person shooters started to become a popular genre thanks to games like Wolfenstein 3D and Doom. So LucasArts created the Dark Forces franchise, which placed the Star Wars universe into first-person shooter form. Another game using the same engine was Outlaws, an early Wild West-themed first-person shooter. While the Star Wars games were selling off the shelves, LucasArts point-and-click adventure games were another story. While point-and-click adventure games put LucasArts on the map, by the mid-1990s they were just not selling as well as they used to. Even with games as great as Grim Fandango, which won several awards including the Best Game of 1998 and Escape from Monkey Island, the sales simply weren't good enough to warrant the production of any more games in the genre. The other factor that stopped the development of more graphic adventure games was that Star Wars Episode 1 was soon to be released. So LucasArts started to make even more Star Wars games to go along with the hype for the prequel films. Some of these games included Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, Jedi Power Battles, Force Commander, Galactic Battlegrounds, The Force Unleashed, Battlefront, Connect Star Wars, and so many more. While LucasArts at multiple points tried to branch out to games other than Star Wars, at the end of the day they were a business whose goal was to make money, and the Star Wars IP did just that. Finally, in 2012, Disney bought LucasArts along with its parent company Lucasfilms. Then in early 2013, it was revealed that the rights to make Star Wars games were given to the dark side, ending LucasArts. So that was just a brief history of LucasArts. And even though it's sad that they're gone now, we can still look back and play their back catalog of wonderful games. So, thanks for watching.